Okay, everybody, I think we'll get going. I know we're a few minutes already past 11, but we were a little late coming out of the keynote. So welcome to the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub session. So we're a little over a year after the Tech Hub launch, and we are excited to provide all of you with an update on the status of our technology projects that are led by GE Healthcare, Medical College of Wisconsin, and the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. BioForward is the lead consortium member for the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub and has the governance team under BioForward, which is led by our Regional Innovation Officer, Wendy Harris. The team has done a fantastic job aligning our projects and keeping us on track to meet the milestones we have projected for this Tech Hub. So please be aware there are other summit sessions on the Tech Hub. We split these apart. The Workforce Project is at 1:30 today after lunch. And then tomorrow is the Innovation to Commercialization Project, which is on Forward Biolabs. And that's at 10:30 tomorrow. So now I'd like to introduce the sponsor for this session, Brad Werlein of Hooper Corporation.
Well, good morning, everybody. Lisa, thank you and the BioForward team for the opportunity to sponsor this session and be a part of this great program for the next 2 days. As Lisa mentioned, my name is Brad Werlein. I work for the Hooper Corporation, and today I represent about the 1,400 employees of Hooper that comprise both our engineering, our office staff, and our craft workers that build the amazing facilities that a lot of you get to work in. We were talking a little bit earlier about partnerships, and in the keynote I heard a lot of partnerships, a lot of sharing information, a lot of team that it takes to do what happens in this industry, and I like to think that we are a small piece of that partnership, right? I was talking to a gentleman that I've known for a while, Howard Teeter, and we just shared a little bit about it takes, they wouldn't be able to do, or you wouldn't be able to do what you do without what we do. And we certainly wouldn't have opportunities to build facilities without the folks and the needs that you guys have to have these facilities. So we appreciate that opportunity. We are a mechanical contractor, a mechanical and power contractor, primarily focusing in this area in the work that you guys do in HVAC, process piping, fire protection, and plumbing. So dealing and building in the complex facilities, the air changes and filtration rates and the specifics that you need to do your research, your manufacturing, and sometimes administering some of the medicines that you produce to the patients that need them. I was fascinated a little bit this morning, and you guys are going to see the simple mind that I work in, not the complex scientist world that you guys are. But I was trying to figure out what this custom medicine, and I've heard it for a few years, but certainly am not knowledgeable about it. And I was thinking, how do you relate this thing? And and if I insult some of you, I apologize for this, but I was thinking about, the clothes that we wear, right? If you go to the store and you buy a jacket or you buy a pair of pants or a shirt or something and you put it on, it fits, but we're all a little bit different in size and shape and whatever we have, right? So if you go to, someplace that might tailor that for you, you're going to pay a little bit more money for it, but you're going to look a lot better, or in this case, medicine is going to work a lot better. And I think that's my simple way of kind of relating some of this, and I appreciate the work that all of you do. I appreciate the opportunity for us to be partners in a little bit of piece of what you're able to do. I was talking to Wendy before I came up here, and she said, well, you can describe what we're doing at the Tech Hub, and she used a couple of words that I am not even going to be able to pronounce. So I'm not going to be the expert for you guys, and my mind went back to my third grade English teacher that said, sound it out, Brad, just sound it out, and you'll be able to figure this out. But honestly, we're really proud to be sponsors here. We're proud to be a part of this group for the next couple of days, and certainly help in this industry in some way, shape, or form. With that, I'll pause my comments and introduce Wendy Harris and the rest of the team that you'll be having your discussion with today, who's going to share quite a bit about what's happened in the last year here with the Tech Hub. So thank you all, and have a great session.
Where do you want me?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Brad. And what I know about HVAC is like nothing, so we're even. Good team. Yeah. So thanks, Lisa, for allowing us to present here. Very excited to have. Come on in, guys. Come on in. The back door. We got people waiting up there. There's seats right in the front here. Promise not to ask you questions, and I won't make you dance. Lisa might go. Yeah. So there's plenty of seats up front here. Yep, plenty. Great. So we have the distinct privilege of talking about the Tech Hub today. I'm actually quite glad that the cybersecurity event got canceled. I'm sure you all would have been here anyway, right? Because it was much more exciting than cybersecurity. So, okay, so we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Tech Hub and 1 year later. First of all, I'm just going to do a brief overview for those of you that may not know what the Tech Hub is. Is this working? It's on. Oh, better? Okay. Okay. Well, you guys just missed my great intro, but we'll just skip it. Hopefully, you all heard me. Okay, so we're going to talk about 1 year later, and I'm joined here by my great partners. Here, we're going to talk about the Tech Hub update. We are covering, like Lisa said, just the technology project, so please join us for other projects, one later today and one tomorrow. I will just give you a brief update on the Tech Hub for those of you that don't know what it is or how we were, what we've been doing over the past year. And then I will hand it over to my great partners here who are really the experts for their organizations and their projects. And then at the end, we will open it up for questions at the end, so please get your questions ready as we go through this. We would love to hear from you. Okay, so I'm going to just do a brief intro. I'm the Regional Innovation Officer. Jomol, brief intro.
Sure. I'm Jomol Mathew, Associate Dean for Biomedical Informatics at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health, and also an Associate Professor in Population Health Sciences.
Hi, I'm Mara Lord, Chief Strategy and Growth Officer for Medical College of Wisconsin, also Assistant Professor in Institute for Health and Humanity and co-lead on CareScan.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashutosh Banerjee from GE Healthcare. I am the VP of Digital Operations, and in line of what they said, also am the lead for the tech project here. Thank you.
Great. And now we know that everyone's mic works too, so see how we did that?
Nice.
Very crafty. Okay, so just a little bit of history for those of you that may not know a lot about the Tech Hub. So it's actually, yes, it's 1 year from the time that we actually got the funding, but since we first started talking about this was actually way back in May of 2023. So it's been over 2 years since we first had this idea and started talking about how to become a tech hub for Wisconsin. We got our phase 1 designation, which was out of 192 applicants back in August of 23, and then that came with no money. So we continued on and spent a lot of time, 500 pages of documents to put in a phase 2 application, which happened in February and then July. You can read along the little pathway here. July 2nd, we were notified that we were one of 31 that was selected. And then we did actually receive the money last year. So ongoing, there is a new NOFO, which is Notice of Funding Opportunity, out for the remaining 19 tech hubs. So we hope to get all 31 tech hubs funded at some point. But it just shows that the Tech Hub program is alive and well. And the government, even though they're shut down, continues to fund tech hubs. It's one of the first programs that will be funded with the new administration. So really good progress and support from the new administration. So just to show the other tech hubs, these are the 31 across the United States. We are working with a lot of these other tech hubs, most notably Jomol will talk about the Health Data Project. And we have given letters of support and sponsorship for them to use our platform. So that really speaks very highly of the work that we've done here in Wisconsin and that these 3 project leaders and their organizations have done, that other tech hubs really want to use our platform and are really trying to kind of copy what we put down last year. So as I mentioned, Wisconsin was funded. This is where we got the $49 million in funding and hope to get more in 2026. So we're one of the very few. You see the little red cross symbol. I hate the symbol, but we are the only ones in that space that receive funding for our project. So we're really proud of that and have a lot to talk to you about today. So first of all, I want to thank all of you in this room because you don't just start a tech hub with nothing. So the Tech Hubs is a regional economic development. You have to really start from somewhere, right? So if we had said, hey, we want to be the leader in semiconductor manufacturing or the leader in rare earth minerals refining or something like that, we really wouldn't have the ability that we have with this really strong biohealth industry, with BioForward behind us, and with all of you in the room. So thank you for all of what you do to make this industry so great in Wisconsin. It gave us a really good platform to launch this tech hub from. So you can read all the numbers here. I'm not going to go through it all, but really it's a huge multiplier effect, the impact that the biohealth community has on the state of Wisconsin. So I want to just shout out to our members, and we also have the lead of our consortium, Aaron. He's sitting there. Aaron Olver, there he is. Okay. And we also have other consortium members in the room here. You can see it's a very strong consortium. And I do also want to mention that as part of being a tech hub, you do have to have a lot of commitment from your industry and from your consortium specifically. So we were very fortunate to have really strong partners as well as state funding that met our match to the EDA. So again, thanks to everyone in this room. We really brought forward a lot of money that really showed the EDA that Wisconsin is behind the tech hub and supporting the tech hub. So thanks to everyone on this page here for making this all happen. So we're going to talk about our projects. So the first three you're going to hear from today in more detail, but it is a portfolio of 5 different projects. So workforce is at the bottom there, project 5. We've got Carrie here, Carrie wave, yep, okay. And then she'll be talking later today. And then innovation to commercialization, we've got BioForward and Forward Biolabs. So we've got Lisa and Jessica. I don't know if Jessica's here somewhere. I don't see her, she's got purple on, but maybe she's here somewhere. So they'll be talking tomorrow morning. So great opportunity to hear about the other projects in addition to what you'll be hearing about today. And then one more thing that I just want to mention is we took a big chance when we put forward the Tech Hub proposal, and we really linked the technology projects together. Other Tech Hubs did not do that. It was a big risk for us because we wanted to say we want them all funded or none of them. And so we really showed how they all link together. So when you think about the UW-Madison project, Jomol is going to talk about the Health Data Hub, how that data feeds the other projects, both CareScan, which is our mobile screening platform, as well as our image-guided therapies project, the theranostic program, and vice versa. So CareScan gets more patients into the system, brings it back into the Health Data Hub. So they all work very closely together. And we were one of the very unique projects that did that and put it all forward as one project together, and that actually worked out very well with the EDA, showing that we have a collaboration. It wasn't always easy to get all these organizations to work together, but now we have a great example of how they all work together very closely. So you'll hear that as they talk about their projects. So that's my quick introduction. I'll come back at the end. I'm going to ask these guys some questions at the end and then take audience questions. But with that, I want to turn it over to Jomol and talk about the Health Data Hub.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much. So at some level, we are all patients, or we take care of patients. And as normal human beings, we always move from one hospital to other, because we want our insurance is different, or we want to seek specialized care in a specialty hospital. All that leads to a lot of fragmentation in our own data. And so you heard in the morning about the wonderful opportunities of precision medicine or personalized medicine, where therapies could be developed that suits you. So a developer of those therapies need access to data, not just our own individual data, but a group of patients. So, and also we know that it's not just the genome, it's also the phenome or the environment that you hear nowadays about like exposure factors and how they contribute to human health. So in order to study all those things, it's important that we have access to the data and at the right time. And it's very difficult for companies to get access to human data because it needs to be protected, it's highly regulated, and it needs to be kept secure. So the objective that we had was, can we bring together all the hospital systems in the state of Wisconsin so that we can look at chronic diseases, we can study individual exposure factors, maybe, for example, look at like Parkinson's as a disease and see areas where it is diagnosed more so that we can design interventions if you're a hospital. Maybe if you're a pharmaceutical company that's developing a drug, we can look at the comparative effectiveness of the current drugs using the existing data. And all these things can be made possible if we were to be able to do this. But how do we do it? And these are also hospital systems operating in the same vicinity, so how do we get the trust from the hospitals and people to do this in a secure and reasonable way? So that was the purpose of designing the Health Data Hub. So we talked to the major health systems in the area, and I'll show you this map. Like there is MCW, MCRI or Marshfield, and UW-Madison and Aurora, 4 major health systems in our state. This is how, if you look at this map, I don't need to talk more about fragmentation. So, whereas the map on the right side shows you, even if we are able to just put those 4 hospitals together, we can get a much clearer picture of the state of Wisconsin. So that's what the Health Data Hub is doing. And in doing this, I won't get into too much of details, but because these are hospital systems in the same vicinity, and also because we want to do it in a very safe and secure way, the design involves the fact that we are not going to move the data until appropriate regulatory approvals are obtained. But we need the ability to query the data. So what we are doing first is implementing mechanisms so that we can query the data in place. We call it federated learning. So that's the first mechanism that we are implementing now. And we have already technically connected 3 of the 4 hospital systems. So we are working on, and by the end of this month, we are hoping to have the 4th one too. So what that will enable us to do is to send a query. And then we will have a centralized IRB process where we will be able to have a company or an investigator who wants to do a study will be able to come to us, and we will be able to send them through the federated centralized IRB process. And then data will be pulled in secure ways from each of the hospitals in a common standard format into a centralized place. So that's happening after regulatory approvals only, and for that specific project only. And we are undergoing a lot of security evaluations and to ensure that the environment is safe to the extent possible. And then, so those activities will be happening in the next year. And by the end of next year, we should be able to facilitate those kinds of projects. So we are very excited about the opportunity to develop, for example, disease registries that span the entire state. We are also eventually hoping to bring in more hospitals. We are talking to other hospital systems who are interested in participating. We are hoping that we would love to have hospitals from rural areas working with us, and we would love to, because that would enable us to take the advanced care that is available at many of the cities to the rural areas, which is one of the dreams that we have. So hopefully we'll be able to expand and get to the rural areas of Wisconsin soon. So I'll stop there and pass it to Mara.
Thank you. So I'm going to stay on this map for a second, and I want you to imagine another map overlaid on top of it that represents the individuals who are not receiving health care, are not receiving screenings, right? It's an invisible map in many ways. And it is defined by Amy Kine's Area Deprivation Index. And so if that map were to overlay, you would see pockets, even within these health systems and across the state of Wisconsin, where people are missed. And so when Jomol talks about being able to enable data flow much more seamlessly to investigators, to scientists, to entrepreneurs, to ensure that new products come into the marketplace quickly, we want to be sure that those products and those services represent all populations. And so CareScan is built on that premise. We said, how do we ensure that we can get a representation of the full population in a way that's different than how we do it today? And Jomol talked about the continuity of and the connections between hospital systems that we often lack today. It's quite segregated. The same thing exists at the community level. And so at the community level, you have federally qualified health centers and other community-based health centers that are largely serving underserved and under-resourced communities. They're very underfunded. So Andrew Nenka, my co-lead, is in the audience. He's the Center for Imaging Research Director from the Medical College of Wisconsin. And so our thinking together, I focus on community, he focuses on how do we bring technologies into the community. So together we developed CareScan Mobile. And I want to be clear, mobile imaging and mobile screening has been done before. Oh, I have to advance the slides. Got it. Nope.
No.
That
There
one.
you go. Yep.
The big
There you go.
clicker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know that mobile imaging and mobile clinics have been done before, but what we found is they are largely led by individual health systems. And so what does that do? It still segregates, right? It still limits access. So Jomol talked about federated data. We are approaching CareScan as health system and health center inclusive, or agnostic, you could say. So instead of it being attached to any single center, it's meant to be an extender of what exists today. And starting at the health system level still doesn't get us to the community level fully. So we're starting at the federally qualified health center and community level and saying, we're going to extend your services. We're going to provide this opportunity to reach the community differently and to make that more screening and care more accessible. And in doing so, we're able to actually connect individuals to care at a federally qualified health center and then to a health system as well. We're also able, with consent, to gain those data and integrate those into the Health Data Hub so that now we have a comprehensive data set that entrepreneurs and developers, et cetera, can be utilizing. So that's the premise of CareScan. And we are, and I'm advancing, Wendy. Here we go. So CareScan is meant to include a mobile screening van, and we are continuing to build services into this unit, and then a CT and mammography with ABUS. And it's meant to travel as a fleet. So this is also novel. Often you have a mobile screening van, and then you have a mammo van, and those travel maybe separately, or they are just separate units altogether. Having the CT attached to that fleet enables us also to address things like the multi-cancer early detection test that is rapidly coming into the market, that tests 70 plus cancers at once with a single blood draw. Well, what if somebody receives a positive result? You have to go into diagnostic screening. And it is a huge bottleneck today in our health systems, huge. So we're trying to eliminate that bottleneck by saying we can screen you and we can follow up immediately and ensure that then you are connected back to care. So when we talk about personalized medicine, this is actually personalizing medicine as well as enabling a different level of data, et cetera. So I also want to mention, last slide here, click, there we go, right? Yep. What we are finding and what we've been drumming up is how can we utilize a mobile fleet like this differently, not just for screening and care, but can we offer this decentralized model to other places? So we're talking to clinical research organizations about doing participant screening and participant recruitment into clinical trials, and then also offering that the CRO's follow-up for individuals who are coming from diverse and underserved communities who aren't going to travel to a CRO that is maybe in a different location. We're talking to a very large Wisconsin-based blood center, you can guess who that is, about partnering and ensuring that when somebody's donating blood, they also have an opportunity for screening and care right there on site. We're talking with a national university about providing learning environment so those students can get their clinical hours in a different environment again, and not only in a mobile environment, but can also have different access with community members. So those are just a couple of things that we're working on, and the EDA, they are our funders here, and what do they want to see? They want to see economic growth. They want to see us make this into a sustainable model. So the way Andrew and I have been thinking about it is this is not a one and done. This is a pilot that can scale, and scalability requires us to think about different revenue models. We know that our mission always is to ensure that we are available and providing screening and care to underserved and under-resourced communities, that we are extending care of federally qualified health centers. But in order to make that mission possible, we have to have different revenue sources. So that's it. I'll hand it over to Ashutosh.
Thank you. So the project that's called image-guided therapy. So if you are wondering why and how is a vendor like GE Healthcare fit into this whole puzzle, so at GE Healthcare, we are focused on what we call our D3 strategy. So D3 just means smart devices, disease states, and digital. How is this lined up to what we do at the Tech Hub? We have smart devices. GE Healthcare as a maker of anything from MRI machines to ECG machines, big or small, anything to do in the diagnostic arena. Disease states oncology is a key focus area for us as a company. And digital, we both of you, Mara and Jomol, talked about segregation in data and in health systems. Have you ever heard about segregation of data in devices? Do you know there are so many devices? We have millions of devices, thousands of devices out there. GE Healthcare doesn't own data in any one of them. So guess how we are going to make AI? We go to rely on things that, for example, the data hub that Jomol is creating. Data is one of the biggest problems for any vendor like us to come out. And we talk about personalized health, and Brad, taking your analogy forward, in data, we talk about data fabric, literally. So we have the fabric, we have the patients, the people. Now we got to tailor a medicine for them, right? So that's where GE Healthcare comes in. It is all about personalized medicine. How is it about personalized medicine? When a patient goes in, unfortunately, even now, the typical workflow is that the patient sees one doctor first, then they have to see other members of the care team. The care team is not always coordinated, right? And usually the coordination is done very manually. It's through Excel sheets, believe it or not, right? And I'm sure a lot of you in the audience would know that. Excel sheets and little phone calls and stuff. So our solution that we are trying to create is how we can enable the clinicians to offer the right treatment to an oncology patient with two applications. One of them is called Care Intellect for Oncology, and the other one is called a Theranostics Pathway Manager, first focused on prostate cancer. So how do we allow a clinician to go wide and follow the patient through the care journey and have the right information and the right prompts at every step of the way so that they know what treatment to look for? And how do we go deep in theranostics and say, how do we schedule for the clinician? How do we ensure that we are providing visibility on where the isotope is in the supply chain, for example, right? So those kind of things. How do we ensure that once you have the data and you have the patient, you give the patient the right experience and you allow the clinician to treat the patient well by providing the information that is required at the correct point of time? That's precision medicine, because the information needed for me is different from the information needed for you. at the different stage, because everybody's disease is slightly different, right? And the experience is slightly different. So our mission at the Image-Guided Therapy Project, and my colleagues are here in the audience, Shannon is here, Artan is here, Corinne had to step out, but Corinne is our project manager who's driving everybody forward on the project. Our mission is fourfold. We need to install, we have to have a data-centric oncology support, which is essentially what I meant about having the right information at the right time. If you don't have the right information when you need it, it's useless. It's just data, right? You've got to convert it to information and insights. And we have, we integrate machine learning and AI and LLMs right into the device. So you know that these days it's not fashionable. If you don't talk about AI, you really are not building anything, right? But we want to talk about the impact. We want to talk about what is AI going to be used for. AI is only as good, it's a tool, it's only as good as what you do. So we use AI for things like clinical trial matching. Can you find out, can you prompt a patient and say, this patient seems to be a likely candidate for such and such trial that's happening? And if you're a clinician, you know that is one of the bigger pain points you guys have. You know, you need to find out at the right time, and you need to be sure that you don't miss a patient for a trial that they can be eligible for, right? We want to summarize a patient's journey in simple words on your dashboard by integrating various sources of data. Did the patient have a full workup done? Was the imaging done for the patient? How many doses of medicine has the patient got? What are any complications, if any, that happened? Can you summarize that, make it easy and link it up? Because you know AI tends to hallucinate sometimes. You've got to be careful about what it shows to you. So you've got to have sources linked there, right? So that's what we are building and integrating into our application. So it gives you, a patient should be able to have the confidence that if I go in, my care team provider has my full history, even though I may not have seen that clinician before, right? That's a big confidence to have, because as a patient myself and yourself, you know that you get tired repeating your story all over again every time, right? Sometimes you have to do that. But it's all about that desegregation and federalization of data and information that both of you are also doing, and that's the same theme for our project too. Our milestones, we are very happy to say that we are on track because we just deployed our first application at UW, and MCW is following right after it. So the deployment stuff is done. We kicked off a journey. We are in first gear. We need to take the second gear, which is when all applications, anything that's deployed is all fair and good, but unless we show benefit to clinicians and physicians, it remains a promise. I made a few promises here, right? So we got to make sure that those promises are delivered. So we are starting our baseline study. That's the phase, that's the milestone C, and then you can read the milestones there. So it's a 5-year journey. Our goal is to ensure that we not only deploy and measure the benefit that we are bringing in from our applications to both patients and to clinicians, right? And to also see that this is a commercial application, of course. The whole purpose of an EDA grant is to ensure that you are commercializing something. It is not just for innovation and research, right? So we are going to make sure that we have an application that delivers the best value to both physicians and patients. And that's the goal that we have, and some of the milestones that we are going forward to. So that I'm going to hand it back over to you, Wendy.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I just want to acknowledge also, you see the milestones that are out here and the project progress and everything. I want to just call out, hold on, that's good. I want to call out my project manager, Chris, wave, and Jamie's here somewhere. There she is back there, a grant specialist. They keep this running day to day, so big thank you to both of them. Lest you guys think that I'm doing all of that. They're actually the ones that are doing a lot of this, so working with all the projects and keeping everything on track. So big shout out to both of them. So now, because we are a panel, I'm going to ask a few questions and while you guys start getting your questions ready, but I'm going to ask a few questions to our panel, and I want you guys just to chime in, talk over each other if you want, whatever you'd like. But I'm going to skip just to, I think everyone might be interested in what lessons we've learned through this journey, right? And feel free to make it funny if you want, but someone jump in. Any lessons learned through this process?
It's always more difficult than you think it is when you start out. No, but seriously, I would say the big lesson is in terms of really mapping out not just, I talked about mapping out patient workflows. Think about decision workflows in large organizations. 3 of us represent large organizations. I thought GE Healthcare is complicated, and I'll pause there.
Yes, right. Did you want us to comment on GE Healthcare or us being more complicated? We know we're complicated.
No, I'm just kidding. I think the key is that we need to, all of us are discovering the whole decision process in our respective organizations. And that's a key learning that we are taking forward. And understanding how you need to lead with the value we are bringing together with the Tech Hub, and how that really applies to not just the patient and the clinicians we serve, but also the organizations who are putting this together. So that's one of the bigger lessons.
Yeah, maybe I can jump in. So UW is a huge organization, as you all know. When we started this project, we decided that we are going to bring in new staff to do this. And I have Vincent Lee, whom I brought in to be the project manager, and we hired all the rest of the staff. Some of them are already here. So that gives us incredible agility, like a startup. Just going back to what you said, so we were able to get to action very quickly. And so that's something that, for a large project, sometimes it's very difficult to turn the Titanic, if you want to, without getting into jeopardy. So this is something that we did, and I'm happy that we made that decision.
I would echo the startup mindset. That's how we've been talking about it. We are a startup company. We're a startup. We have to have a startup mindset, and we have to constantly sell. I mean, I feel like I am a salesperson right now because I'm just constantly talking to people about what it is and why it's of value. And once, I think I took on that identity and felt okay with, I'm a salesperson. We've gotten a lot of partnership. We've been able to secure a lot of partnerships, and build relationships. But treating it like a startup, both the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub and then each of these individual projects, all startups. Startup mindset, I think it'll take us far, right?
Yeah, and we all learned to do a little bit of everything along the way. As you know, I learned more about MOUs and indirect costs and agreements and all kinds of great things and these guys have been great to work with. But kind of uniting 3 very large organizations, all that have a very different type of corporate profit, for-profit type of organization was very, very interesting. So, but it's been great. And now I think the best thing that we've all learned is at first we're like, we'll kind of throw this up and see if it sticks. We didn't really know. And there's a lot of us that in the room here that were part of writing this up. I see Kurt here nodding and others. And then we won, and so now we've got this attitude of there's the rural health project now. Let's put a proposal in. It's $50 billion. Let's see, let's get something out there. So really, I've been really impressed by the state and the politicians and everyone that's really supported us along this way. So, okay. So what are you most excited about in 2026 and beyond, either for your project or for the Tech Hub, or jump in? Or the industry,
I would love to have some of the industry members partnering with us to develop a true precision therapy over the next, we talked about reducing that time frame from 5 years to 6 months. So can we really work together to contribute to that? Would be something really exciting to me, and I would love to create a national story out of that, where Wisconsin becomes the model state for doing this across the nation.
Great. So you can just line up in the center here, all the industries.
I would also say that, I agree on that. A lot of partnerships that we've already talked about on the Data Hub. Yeah. I would say that I think as the state of Wisconsin and as one of the larger tech hubs, we have a golden opportunity in front of us to create something novel here, because we have all the ingredients of the biohealth ecosystem right here in the state. Right? We have the isotope providers, we have big providers here. We have, we are also here along with some of the other companies in the diagnostic field. So how do we continue to partner and to Jomol's point, bring in more partners and create something that really shows a visible difference to patient care and hopefully in cancer treatment. So that would be really amazing. And I think we have an opportunity that really excites me every day. If we can continue showing the benefit of this partnership, not just to patients, but to the economy of the state and to your point, maybe become a model state for something like this, that would be amazing. I think that really keeps me going every day.
I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. I mean, the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub and BioForward are catalysts for what is to come. And I think we need to have the mindset that this is catalytic, but it's all of you to participate in that. That is what is going to make it, so much bigger. And in 10 years or 20 years, we look back and say, oh yeah, there was that Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub that really helped ignite that. But the outcome is that we have more companies in the state. Economic development has skyrocketed. We've got jobs, right? So that's what excites me, is just the catalytic nature of this.
And as they all mentioned, you've heard a lot about kind of creating the demand and kind of upfront setting up the health data hub, getting people into screening, understanding how certain patients should be treated. We also need help on the supply chain aspect. So that's something that we've got great both North Star and Shine in the state here, but also really understanding that supply chain. And you heard from the presentation this morning, sometimes that supply chain is difficult to navigate, like all of the quality regulatory, and our workforce project is working on some of that. But if we can get some other partners on the supply chain side, that would be very helpful. And that's kind of the next step. So as we think about next steps for the Tech Hub, definitely we have great industries in Wisconsin to better build out that supply chain. So how can we be the place where companies come to actually manufacture things, because they don't do that on the coast, right? They do that in the Midwest. And so we really need to expand on that and showcase that as part of our Tech Hub. Okay, so last question, why should people in the room care? Just one reason why all of the people should care, whether they're in the industry or if they're not in the industry.
Oh, I have to go first this time?
Yeah.
Well, we are all.
How does this impact them? How does this, your
like
average
I
person?
said, I think there's one uniting factor for all of us, which is we are all patients, or I don't think there is a single person here who hasn't been to a hospital for your own care or for your loved one's care. So I think this has the potential to be a game changer. So I think you could all be evangelists, missionaries, whatever word you want to use, propagating the news. And, for example, we all wake up every day with the words about AI can do this, AI can do that. But, and I'm sure that we have probably a lot of AI developers in the community, but they are probably intimidated by the fact that, okay, how do I even get access to some of this data to learn from it? Right, so to develop the algorithms, so we can provide an environment to them, and they can become a small company and thrive based on that. So and make a difference. So we would love to be that catalyst again for a lot of other ventures. So again, I would love help from all of you to talk about this in your communities. I mean, it could be policymakers who would look at, maybe there is an increased incidence of a particular type of cancer in an area. We could look at environmental exposure factors. We could have probably CareScan going in there for mobile screening, so it can help policymakers. So there are different aspects of this which could help potentially you or people that you interact with.
So I would say, how many of you own a company, or are part of a private company? So you should care, because you can leverage the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub, again, as a catalyst to recruit individuals, right? To recruit talent. You can leverage it for other funding. You can leverage it to say the state of Wisconsin is an incredible place where people come together from all different industries and all different sectors to make something happen. How many of you are from a university? So, you should care because you can collaborate with each other in a different way. Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub and BioForward create this incredible format and foundation to do so. And now we have, and BioForward started this, but the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub I think has elevated it, right? You have all of these different industry representatives who you can access in a different way. Who's from a different industry than university or company?
There's one hand there.
Say it again. Economic development. Well, I mean,
Wow.
you
You
are
should be
the
interested,
You should just be so happy that we're doing this. I mean, economic development is intended to be the outcome of all of this, right? There are so many pieces and parts that we can create that will be beneficial to many as outcomes, but economic development should be our bright, North Star.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, instead of telling you why you should be excited, I'll tell you why I am excited. So we moved to Wisconsin 10 years ago, and all this time I've been hearing, well, Wisconsin, you can live here, but then to work you have to go to some other state because, opportunities are not that great out here, unless you want to be in some other industry, not tech, for example. But then with the Tech Hub and with my interactions with the team here and people here over the last few years, my daughter, who's a senior in high school, I'm thinking maybe she'll have a great career out here in Wisconsin itself. So why do I care? Because this is a catalyst for creating jobs and creating opportunities in the state. And maybe my daughter will come back and work here, So
We'll have to check back. We'll
need to check back on that.
Great. And I should have mentioned that for the economic developer in the room, I'm sure there's quite a few of them. I saw a few of them, actually. We have committed to $9 billion and 30,000 jobs. So that's what we're on the hook for. So, yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask you to ask questions. And there's a microphone in the middle of the room there. So who's going to be our brave person? We have about 8 minutes before I release you to lunch, and I know that's a tough spot for me to stand in. But do we have any questions?
We have a few.
Thank
Great.
you, Kalpa.
I think the mic is on, so ask away. Is it on?
No.
No, I don't speak loud. So really exciting. Thank you.
Hold on.
So
He's going to
much.
help you. Hold on.
He's coming up.
Two things.
All right. There we go.
Thank you. So I know each of you described the different projects. What I'd love for you to do, for at least my brain, is to talk about how you see each one of your projects feeding into the other project. And then the second part of the question is, so under the big beautiful bill was just announced the Rural Healthcare Transformation Project, which will bring $50 billion over 5 fiscal years to states. And are you all beginning to think about how we could get some of those monies and how they could advance these projects? Thank you.
Yeah, no.
You want to take the role over?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was
put
going to
this
take
one.
the.
Go ahead,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, this one. So thanks for the question. Actually, the Tech Hub was designed in a way that each project feeds into the other project. I was talking about the basic problem every vendor has, that we don't have enough data to create an application which is smart enough to provide the insights at the right time. And if you have data doesn't come without finding the patient. So Jomol's project gets us a data, for lack of a better term, a fabric. Sorry, Brad, but it's data that's from all over the state, and where you can access it in one place. That doesn't exist today. It's so difficult to get data from various parts, and a very good heterogeneous set of data. Data cannot have a bias, right? You have to be heterogeneous in the data set, and that's what the Data Hub is doing. Mara's project is getting us patients from all parts of the state, patients who are typically sometimes overlooked, or you cannot find them, or you find them in late stages where you cannot do anything about them. So if you can get a patient at the right stage and have the data available anywhere in the state, you can treat the patient closer to the home with solutions that we can provide. And for doing all of this, you need people who need to work. So Workforce Project is helping us create pathways for the right talent to work in this field. And then you need innovators to come and set up shop here. So the BioForward project helps us do that. So they are all linked together, and it was intentional from our part to try and make sure it's a full circle like this thing shows you.
And I'll just add, this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but so when we think about data, a lot of people say, well, you can just go to the health systems and get that data if you're a startup and you need to present to a venture capital firm on how many patients in the state of Wisconsin your product can treat or your pharmaceutical idea can apply to. That is not easy, and it's also very, very expensive. So if you were to go to a large information company that happens to reside right over there, that would cost you about $500,000 to $1 million to buy that data from that company. So with the Health Data Hub, you can access data across all these health systems, not having to go to each health system and not having to pay for it, which means you can take that capital and put it into your company versus put it into buying the data to prove that you actually have a company, right? So we really believe this is a great for our startup ecosystem in the state of Wisconsin, but there's a lot going on in Madison right here. I think we have 740 theranostic agents in trial right now. All of those 740 agents have to know what subset of the population. You saw from this morning keynote speaker how many patients that theranostic agent can treat potentially. So that's a really important part to be able to forecast how much revenue you can generate from these different products. So sorry to jump in there, but anyone else have anything else to add? Regarding the big beautiful bill, we do have, if I can answer that just quickly, as I mentioned, we do have good support from the administration, so I feel really good about that. We have put together a proposal for the rural health program, which is $50 billion. That's just come out from CMS and working with the state of Wisconsin to address rural health. So those are things that we actually hope we can get more funding for. And in addition, you heard me talk about funding that will take place in 2026, so we will be applying for that also. So and it's not just about funding, but it's also just working with the administration, working with our legislators and politicians so that they know about the Tech Hub. And I feel pretty good about that, working with the state. We actually got it through the state for funding in 6 weeks. It was a bipartisan bill supported through our state legislature, which is, I think, unheard of to get it all the way through in 6 weeks and have the governor sign off. So we're really proud of that, and it shows kind of that bipartisan support that we have from the state.
I think you began to answer my question already, but there's been a lot of discussion in recent years about data sharing in healthcare for continuity of care, population health. So I'm curious how the work you're doing leverages that or relates to it.
Yeah, so we looked at a lot in the state of Wisconsin itself, we looked at all the activities that are undergoing. And what we figured out is, particularly when you are trying to do this in a regulation compliant way, providing that data, the mechanisms don't exist today. So we are hoping to establish that through this mechanism, like the connectivity, the federated querying, the central IRB process, and also project-driven extraction of data. So we think that will complement any of the other activities, and we would hope that a lot of the industries will leverage that.
Yeah, and I think Mara mentioned one of the key, Dr. Amy Kind, who does the social determinants of health, is actually at UW-Madison. So that's how the Medicaid reimbursement rates are determined based on that. So we have a really great expertise at UW-Madison. And I should also mention that when we got this Tech Hub, we competed against Johns Hopkins, who did all the COVID tracking and all the determinants of health and all this. And you would think that some people thought that would be hard for us to compete against that. They could not get a proposal out there. It required them to go through 21 different IRBs. Very complicated process of how they would gather the data. So just a kudos to Jomol and the team at UW that they're able to get this centralized IRB, so you can just get the data and pull it in this query method versus Philadelphia and other projects that have proposed a health data component as part of their tech hub have had a very complex way that they have to obtain that data. And the organizations themselves in that map that we had up did not agree to just give, I mean, data is very valuable, right? So the fact that we got 4 organizations to agree to bring this together was actually very, very impactful, and shows how nice we are as Wisconsin. Okay, other questions?
Congratulations on all the progress so far. I'm J.D. Davids from Smart Money Ventures and worked with Lisa on the report. Looking at it from the outside, what appears to me is that you've achieved a new level of collaboration across entities, perhaps that were perhaps siloed prior to that. Can you talk about how that was unique and how this was a catalyst for making that happen?
Yeah, so I moved to Wisconsin 5 years back from Massachusetts, and when I came in here, I did talk to some of the hospitals to see if we can do something like this, and the immediate response was like, great idea, but where do we get the funding for this from? So I want to thank the fact that when we got this funding, significantly enabled us, and the fact that we operated on the framework of BioForward, which is all about collaboration, that helped a lot. And I am thankful to, and the fact that we have 2 academic health systems here already in these 2 projects. Right there, we could say like, okay, MCW and UW will work together. We have a great industry partner here, so we will work with GE. So the nature of these projects and the fact that, Ashutosh mentioned several times about, the difficulty that vendors have in accessing healthcare data. So that in itself, provided, yes, you can solve our problem and we'll solve your problem. I mean, that was the reason why we were able to establish this pretty quickly.
So I grew up here, left for a long time and came back, but spent a lot of time in Seattle at University of Washington. And there's a different culture here in Wisconsin. And I just want to call out a couple of people. So Kurt Zimmerman, Idella Kangas, Aaron Oliver, many individuals here sitting in the audience right now, Lisa Johnson, Wendy, of course, Jay Hill from, who was with G at the time, who asked a single question, which was really, how can we be better together? And this concentric circle continued to build, right, in partnership. And that's a really powerful question. That's a really powerful question to start with, right? And not everyone does that. And I, as MCW came in a little bit later in the process, I remember watching peripherally and saying, how do you have Accuray and you have GE and you have, right, all these different companies, North Star, you have all these different companies who are typically competing, and then you have UW-Madison and MCW who collaborate in so many different ways, but are viewed as competitors, and then you have health systems who are definitely viewed as competitors, right? And you have to have people in the room who are willing to ask the question, how do we better together, bigger and better together? So that to me was the biggest opportunity to say, yes, we can collaborate, and by the way, we can continue to build on that foundation.
No, I love what you said, Mara, because it's all about being better together. And as GE Healthcare, we have partnerships with a lot of institutions around the world, but none of the partnerships are as maybe comprehensive as the ones that we have here. And some of the initial dynamics were pretty interesting to watch as a vendor, because when UW and MCW and Federal come together and they say, let's exchange some ideas. I said, okay, you guys don't exchange ideas. I had no idea you guys don't do that. But that's the power of coming together and collaborating. It starts with the people, because all of the individuals mentioned here, none of them have a big ego. We are all in it for making a difference. We all come together and we set our own agenda aside and we talk about how can we make sure the Tech Hub moves forward. When we collaborate, Wendy and Lisa bring us together. We talk about, okay, what do we do next that can make the state better? That ethos is not seen in a lot of places. So I would say it starts with the people. Funding definitely helps, and again, the purpose unites us all. So that's what. Hopefully, it'll keep us going.
Great. Very well said. Now I'm holding you all up from lunch, and I think this is the only session, so hopefully the line will be short when we get down there. So thank you very much. Please ask us questions at lunch if you want. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.